Our tale unfolds upon a cruiser ship, a floating haven for high schoolers, rudely interrupted by a terrorist attack, and the Charles Hayamiyamoto, our protagonist, races desperately to save a fellow student teetering on the edge, only to abruptly awaken in an area void alongside the entire Yasaka high school class, now seemingly departed from the realm. As the disoriented students grapple with their surreal situation, Mashida Aran, a brash male classmate, laments his untimely demise, yearning for more flirtations with the opposite sex. Seizing control of the bewildered group is Shimata Izumi, who skillfully navigates through the confusion, rebuffing Aran's advances. Minami Asagi, another male student, supports her efforts, urging everyone to maintain composure despite the uncertainty looming over their future. In the midst of banter between the students and their teacher, Murakami Jun Miyamoto spots Yus Narumi, the girl he futilely tried to save during the ship attack. Reflecting on the failed rescue attempt, Hoto acknowledges their lack of closeness but expresses remorse for her demise. The atmosphere takes a mystical turn as a mysterious voice addresses the student. Rukudiri observes a radiant figure emerging before them, revealed as a godly being named Road Court. While some students react with hysteria, Izumi's level-headed nature soothes the panicking individuals. Yoto announces a unique proposition. He offers to grant each student special powers and a new life in a different realm. Those opting to remain on Earth would forfeit these gifts, with their memories of the void wiped clean. Otto contemplates the pros and cons of Rebirth, concluding that the allure of a new existence with extraordinary abilities outweighs any benefits of staying on Earth. One dissenting voice arises among the students, but the majority chooses the path of reincarnation. The gods, one by one, bestow their blessings upon the students, ushering them into a new world. As Hoto patiently awaits his turn, he reflects on his unremarkable life marked by the early loss of his parents and a lack of close connections. The narrative sets the stage for Hoto's journey into a realm where extraordinary powers and the unknown await, intertwining fate with the mystical offerings of Broadcourt. And the wake of Broadcourt's celestial blunder, Hoto found himself standing before the godly being, the recipient of 8 specialized spheres, an unexpectedly generous gift. Yet, as Roadcourt cast the spell to usher the class into their new lives, Hoto was inexplicably left behind. Perplexed, Roadcourt questioned Hoto's identity, mistaking him for another student named Amiya Hoto. Their names and appearances strikingly similar. The god had unwittingly bestowed all the special powers upon the wrong individual. Realizing his error, Roadcourt regretfully admitted the irreversible mistake. Unable to retract the powers he had already granted, Roadcourt explained the complexity of the situation. Hoto, disheartened, contemplated the futility of reincarnation. However, returning to Earth was no longer an option, and the window for rebirth was closing rapidly. Frustrated and feeling cheated, Hoto vented his grievances, lamenting that he alone among his classmates received nothing and that his destiny was now marred by misfortunes. Attempting to soften the blow, Roadcourt informed Hoto that instead of conventional abilities, his soul would house a unique magic and empty core, bereft of strong powers but capable of storing magic. Though the compatibility with magic was low, Hoto would be born with the potential for its use, a major consolation for the unfortunate turn of events. As Roadcourt offered his final words of encouragement, Hoto reluctantly accepted his fate. Abruptly, Hoto awakened to a jolt of electricity coursing through his reborn body. Mocked by a guard, he found himself trapped in a grim reality where experiments and adversity awaited. Alone with his thoughts, Hoto recollected the memories of his past life and cursed the god who had thrust him into this predicament. Now reborn in a realm called Origin, akin to Earth but interwoven with both science and magic, Hoto faced a harsh existence. His new parents, driven by greed, had sold him off in a world where his mother was a prostitute and his father an alcoholic. As Hoto grappled with the challenges of his reborn life, he vowed to overcome the adversity and carve his path in this unforgiving realm. Soon after being sold, Hoto found himself in the clutches of a shadowy research organization specializing in legal experiments. Plunged into a nightmarish existence, he lived through what seemed like the cruelest fate imaginable. Skipping ahead, we observe a scientist discussing an unusual subject, catching the attention of two intrigued men. Assessing Otto's magical compatibility as abysmally low and deeming him devoid of any magical talent. One scientist proposed discarding him. However, his colleagues saw potential within Otto's unique predicament, a massive untapped magic source within his body, suggesting an undiscovered element. Cutting to Otto conducting an experiment, he employs magic to resurrect the deceased that the scientists are astonished, realizing that Otto's elemental affinity lies in controlling corpses, a rare and formidable skill element of death. Heralded as the first of death mage, Otto's talents captured the fascination of the research facility. Someone to an office, Otto receives an unexpected offer, an opportunity for freedom contingent upon becoming a test subject. The the man in charge reveals the facility's high expectations for Otto's death magic and promises freedom if he can develop a groundbreaking spell. Days pass and Otto dedicates himself to creating the promised spell, earning approval from the scientists. However, paranoia creeps in among the researchers due to Otto's rapid progress. To counter potential threats, they reveal the extent of their control. Implanted bombs, GPS tracking, a camera in his right eye, a recorder in his ears and mouth, strict food limitations, and confinement to Zoom except for experiments. Despite these extreme precautions, Unyase persists among the scientists, recognizing the potential danger posed by Otto's unrestrained magical abilities. Mocked for his paranoia, the scientist with glasses contemplates solution. Later, Otto enters an unfamiliar room expecting experiments related to his spell development. Instead, the scientists claim they will conduct a quick body examination. As Otto complies and lies on the table, the situation takes a sinister turn. Bound to the table, Otto demands answers as a group of doctors begins an unsettling surgical procedure. The scene shifts to post-operation, leaving Otto in an uncertain and precarious position within this enigmatic research facility, his fate hanging in the balance. As the scientist announces mere time to Otto, he quickly realizes that he's lost control over his body. Unable to move or speak, Otto becomes a captive audience for the scientist with glasses. His colleague enters, celebrating the success of the operation that has left Otto powerless and completely under their control. Bound to a chair, Otto is now a mere puppet at the mercy of his cup. The scientist with glasses reveals in the newfound control they have over Otto, mocking him for being the first ever death mage who can control the dead but not his own body. Otto, now utterly helpless, tries to call out for help but remains voiceless and mobile for an agonizing 10 years. The next chapter unfolds with the scientist in glasses escorting another researcher into the room where Otto is confined. Shocked by Otto's near-zombified state, newcomer is eager to unravel the secrets behind the death mage and potentially surpass his predecessors. Meanwhile, Otto begins to perceive the spirits of a woman, a little girl, and a dog. The woman engages in conversation with Otto, and the little girl questions the newcomer's role in Otto's experiments. Otto confides in the spirits, describing the malevolent nature of the scientist and the unbearable circumstances he finds himself. The spirits express regret for their inability to aid his escape, appreciating Otto's company in the desolate place. Otto suggests that his death magic may have summoned the spirits, and the little girl explains how numerous souls wander the facility, all drawn to him. However, being mere spirits, they remain powerless to assist him. In a poignant moment, Otto reflects on his old classmates and Narumi, the girl had tried to save on the ship. Despite their God-given powers, none came to rescue him. Meanwhile, the young scientist grows increasingly frustrated with his inability to gather sufficient results over the past month, fearing potential consequences for his position. Losing control, he violently punches Otto out of his reach. In desperation, the woman's spirit rushes to Otto's aid. The scientist, hoping to unleash Otto's full capacity, frantically types on the computer. As Otto enters a state of shock, the dog and little girl spirits try to intervene, but their efforts prove futile as they can only pass through him. The scientist realizes the unimaginable power Otto possesses, surpassing the mightiest mages on earth. However, in the midst of the experiment, Otto succumbs to the shock and meets his demise once again. In the dim lit laboratory, the young scientist Fleur found himself in a state of panic as he realized he had accidentally killed his subject. Horror washed over him and he turned away, unable to face the consequences of his actions. Unbeknownst to him, a black aura began to emanate from Hiroto's body, catching the attention of both the monitoring system and the terrified scientist.